ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track, and ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. 3 couples, 4 vacations, a lot to unpack. Watch The 4 Seasons, a new series starring comedy favorites Tina Fey, Steve Carell, Will Forte, Coleman Domingo, and more in a hilarious and heartfelt love letter to long-term relationships. Based on the original Alan Alda film. Watch The 4 Seasons, May 1st, only on Netflix.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Oh no, are you muted?
Oh no.
Oh no, I can hear you. You fooled me. You fooled me.
I got you with the 80s, the sitcom ending. Everybody freezes.
Yeah. I think the one time we already did, because I was going to suggest that we did the turning around. Oh, I didn't see you come in there. I think we already did that.
Yeah, we've done that already. But welcome everyone to the Saturday brunch edition of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm not in my Fred Durst phase. To my right is the man who was this close to being the next Pope, Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are we doing today?
You know, they elected the guy from Chicago. I thought I was in the final run. The conclave went too fast, but part of the reason that it took as long as it did is we actually had to watch the movie to remind ourselves of the process. But apparently I saw an article where it's like a lot of the Cardinals, this was like their first time doing it. So apparently, and I saw it online, so this may be fake, but it was a funny joke if that's the case. And it said they referred to the movie Conclave as a helpful piece to determine the process. So, oh man. But that was quick. Yep. I did not expect the smoke to emerge so quickly.
I saw a meme where it said days to select Pope, to vote Pope, to elect Pope 2, days to draft Shador Sanders 3.
Oh man. So
in less time it took to vote in a new Pope, Shador Sanders was drafted in days.
Oh man.
Oh boy.
We're gonna get some comments for that one probably.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Anyway, before we get started, and we're gonna start a new Saturday segment starting today. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about hot food takes. I'll talk some Stanley Cup playoffs and our favorite athletes to wear the number 33. But in the meantime, just want to remind you, folks at home, whether you're watching live on the No Credentials Required YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter channels, you're watching on replay on the Belly Up YouTube channel, or you're listening to the podcast, please follow us on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for No Credentials Required. You can also listen to our other podcasts and check out written articles at bellyupsports.com. On the podcast side, you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, and Pandora. And also, don't forget to hit that notification bell, both on Twitter and on YouTube. That way, you know when you get notifications for when we go live, when we have show clips, or when we have general announcements. We got some comments rolling in already. Dee's Ray of Sunshine, she says, "Hi guys," and she also says, "Dustin would have made a fine Pope."
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's like the time my grandma told me that I would have made a great priest. And I said to her, I go, what do you mean by that, Grandma? And she's like, well, I just mean because you're a good listener. She was trying to backpedal. I think Grandma was trying to backpedal.
That's okay. We can't all be Pope. We can't all be president. We can't all be president either. But when I come to power, things are going to change. Rate on the podcast side, rate, review, comment, leave a rating if you can. Or leave a rating, a 5-star rating is be very, very helpful. If you're on a platform where you can leave a review, please leave a review. We'll read it on the air. And also, if you're on Spotify, leave a comment. You can leave a comment for every episode, both past and present and future. We'll read them on the air. So, also if you're watching on the Belly Up YouTube channel a little bit later, leave a comment for what's your favorite athlete to wear the number 33, or actually, you know what? Leave a comment in the comment section on the Belly Up YouTube channel to see if Dustin should get his head shaved.
Oh man, go fully buzz cut, huh?
You've done it before.
I have.
It was for a good cause, though.
It was, and I'm not opposed to it, but I'm just, with the way my hairline is lately, I'm not sure that some parts would grow back. So I don't know, man.
And because we are a live show every Saturday morning at 10 a.m., or in this case a little bit later, but that's okay. We got some cool things up ahead. Also, it's on Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. on our YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter channels. And again, we're on replay on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel a little bit later. Leave us a comment. We got, like I said, we had some live comments coming in from D's Ray Sunshine has checked in, and again, we appreciate all your support, whether you're watching live, whether you're on the podcast side, or whether you're watching on the Belly Up YouTube channel. But Dustin, little hand is telling me, and the big hand are telling me something.
Yeah, I think it's chime time.
I do believe it is chime time. All right, so we're going to introduce our starting this week, we're having a reoccurring segment. Although I do have a show announcement next Saturday. Dustin can't make the show, but what we're going to do instead on Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have another edition of the No Credentials Required Happy Hour. So grab a drink, grab your favorite beverage, grab your favorite cocktail or mocktail, and we're going to talk about what we're drinking. We're going to talk about sports and whatever else is on our mind. So we want you to tune in, be a part of it. Grab a drink. Even if it's non-alcoholic, it's fine too.
Yeah.
Grab whatever. Grab some water. We don't care.
Hydrate with us.
Yes, come hydrate with us. All right, so we're going to introduce our new weekly segment starting today. This is Major League Baseball season's up and about. We talked about Major League Baseball on Tuesday with our friend Eric Arditti. We appreciate him coming on.
Yeah.
We're going to introduce a reoccurring segment here on No Credentials Required throughout the baseball season. But we're going to bring in our contributor. He's one of our baseball enthusiasts at the Belly Up Sports Media Network. He's a part of the Belly Up Sports Fantasy Sports Network. He's involved in baseball. He's involved in football. He's a wealth of knowledge in that regard. But he also follows other sports as well. So we'll talk a little hockey in this edition. But I'll go ahead and introduce him. I'll promise I'll have a stinger next time for when we introduce him, Mr. Kevin Wilson. Kevin, how are we doing this morning?
Guys, we're doing great down here in Texas for the second weekend in a row. We have blue skies and temperatures in the 70s.
Oh man,
twist the knife, Kevin. Come on, nothing but rain the last week.
We get rocked with storms during the week, and the building on which I work, there was a huge leak, and it wasn't just a leak. There was water literally pouring in from the outside, so that's never a good sign. And so, but this weekend we're doing great. And as I mentioned to you guys before we got started, today is National Shrimp Day and also National Train Day. So if you can combine those two activities some way, that would be awesome.
I have a song in my head already. Come on, get on the shrimp train.
Oh man, happy to have you here this morning joining us, Kevin. And as Ryan said, Kevin will be joining us he's our boy of summer. He's going to be joining us on Saturdays for the baseball season. And obviously, if you watch Seahawks Sessions, you've seen Kevin and I work together before, but he's also a guest on this show on the Mothership, and he also was the genesis for Hot Food Takes.
Yes.
So let me thank you again in person, Kevin.
Yes,
I'm here to help out in any way that I possibly can.
And the question that launched that segment was during our AMA last summer.
Yep.
It was right after our movie series. We decided to do an AMA. Actually, it was right after we came back. I think it was almost
right after we came back from break. Yeah,
came back from break. We decided to do an AMA before we had our NFL preview, and Kevin asked, and we missed it in our Facebook page if what type of meatloaf was the best meatloaf.
Yep. That's what started it.
Yes, what started it. That's what started
it. Ignited such passion in the comments that we were like, hey, let's make this a recurring segment. And we do have one today. But Ryan, I think we're going to be ending the show with that moving forward, right? Is that right?
Yes, we are. Yep. On Saturdays, we're going to be ending the show with Hot Food Takes. We'll be specifically sports for Saturday brunch, but Hot Food Takes come at the end. So it's a buffet of sports, and you got your hot food takes at the end.
Yes.
All right. So let's get into the baseball topics today. We're going to talk about Major League Baseball's with the quarterway point this weekend. And we're going to talk about Major League Baseball's biggest surprises of the season, of this young season. Again, this is, as I mentioned on Tuesday, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And we're going to talk about the biggest disappointments. And I just realized I might have capitalized I, but that's okay. But we'll have Kevin give his expertise on the subject. So let's start out with the biggest surprises in Major League Baseball this year. It could be an individual, it could be a team. Kevin?
Well, I'll follow your guys' lead because I have both here, teams and players. So,
okay.
I guess we'll start with a team. And in the American League, to me, the biggest surprise has to be the ex-Oakland, current Sacramento, and maybe someday the Las Vegas Athletics.
The homeless, I call them the homeless Athletics.
Okay, that's a fair description. And but during the off season, I thought that they would just play this like a sideshow Bob scenario where you'd go to a game and it would be like going to a circus and the bearded lady and stuff like that. But they didn't do that. They actually brought in some players.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are, as you mentioned, at the quarter point, and they're in second place in the AL West entering the weekend.
Yes,
I know they got pummeled yesterday by the Yankees, but
by the who? By the who?
The Yankees, okay. But they're in second place up there, and they've got some very exciting young players going on, and so you've got. It's really amazing because the first weekend they played up there in Sacramento, they got absolutely blasted. They're playing in that minor league park, and I knew offenses would be increased, but it was the other team that just went in there, and I think it was the Cubs, went in there and just destroyed them.
Yeah.
But here we are, and they're in second place. So I'm looking forward to seeing what exactly they have going forward in the summertime, because I didn't know this before they started to move up there. It's 100 degrees in the summertime in Sacramento. I did not know that.
Oh,
so
man.
we'll see how in the world they put up with that sort of temperatures. So
yeah, that's going to be tough. And I got to agree with you when you were talking about them. I said the A's really do. I mean, Soderstrom he's been looking good. I didn't think he would have a season like this, and I said it last year, and partially it's because I had him on my fantasy team. But Mason Miller, when healthy, is one of the most entertaining closers. Heck, he's one of the most entertaining pitchers, period, to watch in all of baseball, I think, when he's got it going. But I was a little surprised. I knew that their offensive numbers would probably increase a little bit because the Coliseum was not a hitter's park. if I
No,
remember. I
I've
think it
actually
was
been there
yeah.
and seen them play, and so they've got thousands of feet of foul territory over there. They did in Oakland, and so
Yeah.
The numbers were going to increase. I knew that, so maybe stay clear of some Oakland, or still calling them Oakland, but athletics pitchers. So it's been a nice thing to see them, and if I had a chance to go to a game up there, I'd just like to go see what exactly do you see when you go to a Sacramento minor league game, because I have no clue.
Yeah, I'm looking at the standings right now. They're actually technically they're in third place. They're a 1/1000th of a percentage point behind Houston for second.
Wow.
You hate to see it, folks. You hate to see it.
Yeah, you hate to be
But I
connected live on
understand.
television, but as I
I
mentioned,
understand.
entering the weekend, they were in second.
Okay. Yeah.
I understand. But I understand yeah, they're definitely we kind of had our eyes on the Athletics in our Major League Baseball preview. We said that Houston would have a bit of a slide. We said the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, or whatever you want to call them now. Let's just call them the Angels. You know what we should do?
The Orange County A's.
Yes, the OC A's.
Yeah.
The OC Angels.
Yeah.
I think we should switch the A's and kick the Angels out and have them be transient for a season. But we talked about I thought Seattle was going to be a good team. I thought they were going to finish second. One of my biggest disappointments is the Texas Rangers. I thought they were going to have a decent season. I thought they're going to win first place. And again, this is the Major League season could flip on a switch, get hot at the right time, and all of a sudden you're in first place. But I understand Texas fired their hitting coach recently, and they brought in Brett Boone as their new hitting coach.
And that was one of the interesting things. I did not realize that Major League Baseball teams have offensive coordinators.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either.
That was his official title, and I never heard of the dude, and until he got summarily dismissed. But so offensive coordinator, I guess, is a thing now, and they did bring in Mr. Boone, and there's Griffey and then Boone, as far as royalty, families in baseball.
Yeah,
and so it worked. Because they scored 6 runs in 1 inning last Sunday, and then they beat Boston their first game, and then they just went ahead and stepped right back into the slime because they've lost every game since then.
But as long as they beat Boston, that's what us as Yankees fans like to hear. Because why, Ryan?
Why is that?
Oh, I know why. Please hold for an announcement from our tribal chief. Where is it?
I thought I gave you enough time to set it up.
I got it. All right, here we go.
The following is a public service announcement from Wise El Jefe.
Boston.
This has been a public service announcement from Wise El Jefe.
Oh, that's still the best.
Shout out to our tribal chief. And speaking of Boone, there's Aaron Boone right there.
Yeah, it's Aaron Boone.
I'm looking at the standings right now, Kevin. I'm looking at the AL Central. I'm looking at the Detroit Tigers. We talked about the Tigers, and I expected them to be one of the top 2 teams in that division. I didn't expect them to be 84 run differential good. And Tarik Skubal, with the season he's having, I think his last 3 games he's got 50 strikeout. I think the last 5 games he has 50 strikeouts and only 1 walk. Some really incredible stat. I'll have to look at his splits, but let's talk about the Tigers. And I don't know, maybe in the distance I'm hearing Julie from Michigan rushing in to say hello somewhere. But let's talk about those Tigers for a minute.
Okay, I was on board with the Tigers last year, and so. This is not a surprise to me. The way that they're, running away with things is a bit of a surprise. But I like their team. You mentioned Skubal. He pitched yesterday against the Rangers, and gave up 1 run, and that was it.
Yeah.
But he won. He won the game because he gave up 1 run. The Rangers, they only got 2. The Rangers gave him 2 runs, and that was all he had to work with. But unlike certain Mets pitchers we can mention back in the day, 2 runs is enough to win the game for Tarik Skubal. So I like him. I like Flattery in that rotation. And there's a certain guy over there who used to play shortstop. Now he's the outfielder, named of Javier. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I was going to say Baez. Baez is really going
Mr.
for
Baez, and he's on my fantasy team, which I would have never have envisioned coming into the season. I thought he had one firmly in the grave, baseball grave, but he's been resurrected, and they're swinging the bats, they're pitching the ball. So I would not be surprised if they are still in first place. I think we still are going to hear from Cleveland. But
Cleveland's, I had my eye on Cleveland. I said their pitching was, I was kind of but their offense, but their pitching is outstanding. But we talked about Tarik Skubal. Here's his last 5 games. His last 5 games, he has given up 4 earned runs, has struck out 44, and has walked 1 batter.
He's ridiculous. He's ridiculous. And talk about fantasy for a second. That's one of my biggest fantasy regrets. I had Tarik Skubal on my team his rookie season where he showed those flashes, but he wasn't quite there yet. And I jettisoned him in favor of keeping another pitcher. And at this point, I can't even remember who the pitcher was.
Well, that's probably for the best, because now we can't make fun of you for that. So.
Yeah. But that was, man, because he really rounded into form last year, and he's just picked right up. Because wasn't he the AL Cy Young?
He was the leader in all the categories in the American League.
Yeah,
wins, strikeouts, and I forget what the other. It's escaping me. The Triple Crown of pitching. He won it. Chris Sale won it in the National League, but
wins, strikeouts, earned runs.
That's it. That's the one. Thank you, Ryan. And so he won that, and he's the pitcher of the millennium at the present moment. Because it's hard to do things a second time over, but he is. And like I said, the Rangers, only gave him 2 runs to work, yesterday, and he still won the game. And so, you talk about surprises. Patrick Corbin pitched for the Rangers yesterday, and he had a 7 ERA or something for Washington, but he pitched yesterday and gave up just 2 runs. So good on him.
Yeah, a little bit of a rebound start. He's always had, I'm not as familiar with him, but he's always had the talent, but it seems like he's prone to blow up starts every once in a while where the wheels just keep coming off.
Yep, he's good for innings. And he'll give you 6 innings, but he'll give up 5 runs while he's doing it.
Oh, man.
But not this year so far. And people were saying, well, the train has to end on him, so you might want to drop him. Hopefully you did not follow that advice. And because, like I said, he pitched very well yesterday, even though he was the loser.
Losing effort. Yeah, I guess, the shrimp train keeps rolling for Patrick Corbin. That's right. I did bring it back.
All right. So we combine both things. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's transition over to the National League. So I'm looking at the standings. The Chicago Cubs, I had them finishing first in the National League Central. Are they a surprise to you, or is this the way you expected the Cubs to go?
I am not surprised because they did some things, and I like the trade with Houston that they made.
Yep.
And Tucker, of course, he blew the absolute doors off the place the first couple weeks of the season. And so, the Cubs, that's the first team I ever went to a major league game. to see. And so I'm not surprised because the other teams have flaws, all of them, including the Brewers. And I know Vince doesn't want to hear that, but
his
so I
ears
am
are
not.
ringing. I'm gonna see him jump in the chat real quick. Which one of my Brewers?
So I'm not surprised that they're leading this, and I would certainly not be surprised. I expect them to win this division, and I expect them to be in the playoffs. Of course, you win the division, you're in the playoffs. But they've got some players on both the offense and pitching, and it's still interesting if you go to a Cubs game and the wind's blowing out. We saw this just recently where the Arizona and the Cubs just went at it and scored like 8 runs in one inning, and then you still get those kind of games up there. And so I expect them to win this division.
Yeah, I'm looking at the standings. I see St. Louis. The Cubs have lost their last 3 in a row. St. Louis Cardinals have won
We're
their last
talking
6.
good about them, so they have to make us look bad.
Of course. Right behind them, the St. Louis Cardinals, they've won their last 6 in a row, and they're 8-2 in their last 10.
Surprise teams. St. Louis definitely merits it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody expected St. Louis. I know I certainly didn't. That division, if I had to, I think if I had to go back, I think I picked the Brewers to take that division, if memory serves. But regarding the Cubs, I think I knew they were going to be decent, but I didn't think they'd be the offensive juggernaut for most of the season that they bet. They're capable of putting runs up with anybody, but St. Louis, I have to confess, I mean, I don't watch as much baseball as I want to because I don't have MLB Network anymore, so I don't see as many of the games from out-of-market teams. I see plenty of Yankee games here because I have both the Yes Network and Prime. But have you seen any Cardinals games? How are they doing this? How are they putting it together?
Well, there's not a whole lot of Cardinal games that are, being broadcast down here in the Dallas area, but and I thought that the Cardinals were in danger of finishing last again this year, and they've done it with almost smoke and mirrors, it seems like, and so there's not a bigger baseball town. I know you guys are up there in New York, but St. Louis as a baseball town has to rank number 1 as far as, going to a game and everything else. So they get all this energy from their fans, and I think they're in this thing for the long haul. And Helsley is the closer, and he's going to be a key because he was not playing that well earlier. And like I said, you get into a game where it's 8-7. He needs to be the guy that can come in and slam the door, which he's done better of late. Mm-hmm. But they've got some young players, and Wilson Contreras was absolutely awful the first week of the season. And I did not believe in him, but he's turned things around a little bit. They've got Burleson over there. And so it's going to be interesting to see these two teams, and I still think Milwaukee can get into this.
Yeah, I still think, especially with the rebound, I mean, some of these players, I know how they're doing because some of them are on my team, my fantasy team, so I know. But I know Bryce Terang has kind of he's had a surprise season. I picked him up as kind of a Hail Mary because second base is always a position that seems to slip by me in fantasy drafts. By the time I go, oh, I need a second baseman. All the stars are gone, but Bryce Terang, he's done okay. I still think Milwaukee has the talent to get involved with Christian Yelich there, but I've had a soft spot for Yelich. He's been injured, but when healthy, he's good. But Ryan, there's been some smoke and some rumors that the Yankees are going to try to trade for Nolan Arenado. Some of those started last year, but if St. Louis keeps it up, do you think they hang on to Arenado?
For sure. And while you guys were discussing the Cardinals, I was looking up their stats. They are actually second in the league in team batting average, with 260
Wow.
in all of baseball, actually, with a 262 batting average. They lead the league in team doubles with 79. So they're not necessarily hitting for power,
No,
but they're just gonna straight up paper cuts, like death by 1,000 paper cuts. That's how they've won the last 6 games. They won last night 10-0 over
that's
Washington.
right. Yeah.
But back to Dustin's question, if the Cardinals do keep up this pace and they stay in that division race, I think Nolan Arenado stays. I know they had that conversation back in February during spring training when Nolan Arenado was spotted talking to somebody on the Yankees. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, I can't either.
But perception is not always reality. Anything can happen before the trade deadline. I mean, St. Louis could drop like a stone. And hey, now we're taking offers to Nolan Arenado. Let's hear what you got.
Yeah.
And he could be in pinstripes by this time in July. So but I'm room for the Cardinals. Good for them. They're hitting well. Looks like they're pitching pretty well too. As I say this, but they're but good for them. Good for them. They're starting to put it together. It's starting to put it together in May, and sometimes in May, when you put good things together, things will translate down the line. So we've talked about biggest surprises. We talked about biggest disappointment. We haven't talked about biggest disappointments, Kevin. So we talked about this team. I'm pretty sure which team you're going to go with the biggest disappointment, but I could be wrong because we talked about this team on Tuesday's show. But let's hear it from the baseball expert. Your biggest disappointment so far in 2025.
Well, this is an easy choice for me. The biggest disappointment has to be the Baltimore Orioles.
There it is.
Yep, we put the stink on them. We're sorry,
we did. That was our fault. Sorry, Baltimore.
Baltimore, don't come for us.
Yes, they're not coming for anybody at the present moment.
I'm wearing the cap of your AAA affiliate today, Baltimore. So don't at me in the comments.
Okay, you can come at me, that's fine. But because in the preseason when we were discussing this, Vince and I was very concerned about the Orioles starting pitching. And because they lost Corbin Burns, and their answer was, we're going to bring in Mr. Morton, who's like 68 years old and pitched like it. Okay. And so, and Eflin, he's not a good number one starter, but he's good. He's not a number one starter, but he went on the IL. He'll make his first start tomorrow, by the way.
Okay.
And so that's a little too late for me. Yeah. And they've got all these core players that are still young, but the core players have not been bringing it. Henderson started the year injured and is still not up to par. And so easily, this is a team that won 100 games 2 years ago and made the playoffs a year ago. And they're let's see if I wrote this down. They're well in last.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you talk about disappointments, this is the easiest, you have to not be an outstanding athlete to catch this ball. Okay. It was an easy one.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about it with Eric Arditi, which we'll have to do a fearsome foursome one of these summer shows. You guys could talk baseball, but Eric was explaining a lot of the same reasons why Baltimore. But I had the opposite thought as you, Kevin. I knew their pitching was going to be bad, but I thought their offense was going to be enough to carry them through until the pitching staff got healthy. But Grayson Rodriguez, he's been moved to the 60-day IL, so he's not coming back anytime soon. He had a setback during his rehab. You mentioned Charlie Morton's been bad. Kyle Gibson made his debut and got shelled the other day. I mean, but I thought offensively the Orioles would be better than this. I thought they'd do enough to get through these pitching woes, but it's been an emphatic no.
Well, seeing as how you guys are up in New York, I know that really disappoints you. So
Yeah. No,
We both had the Orioles going to the World Series this year.
Yeah.
I had them losing to the Dodgers, and Dustin had them beating the Dodgers in the World Series. We thought this team was talented enough with all the stockpiling of talent they've done over the last couple of seasons, over the last 5 to 10 years. We thought they would be ready for the spotlight. Unfortunately, whatever happened with last season, where they got goosed by got goose egged by the Royals. That's continued into this season. So
the Royals are looking good too, by the way.
Yeah,
they are. They weren't playing very well earlier, especially on offense, but they have come around.
Yeah. And they got a few surprise pitchers, like one of them, Chris Bubich. He's been good. He's been good for the Royals there.
And I wasn't sure if I was all in on Lugo again this year, but he has pitched extremely well. So Kansas City, they let some, we talked about Detroit, and all that, but they're rounding back into form. So this is going to be an interesting race between Kansas City, Detroit, and Cleveland. And we throw out with yesterday's trash the White Sox. And
oh man,
wow!
That's hard for me to say because I went to Cubs games, but I also went to White Sox games. And one of the losses in baseball this week was Chet Lemon, and I watched him play in person.
Oh,
and so that's a tough loss for him. He wasn't that old, and but he'd been battling cancer, so that's a big loss right there.
Yeah. Was that at the old Comiskey Park, Kevin?
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Me and my friends, we all went to the game, and it was against Detroit, if I remember right, way back in the day. So, but Chet Lemon, he was a player. He was an awfully good player all the way around. So I was sad to read that he had died this week.
Yeah. Well, looking at the National League standings, is there one team that comes to your mind as the biggest disappointment so far?
So far,
the season?
Is they have a winning record. But I had said, and I even wrote about it, that if you were going to make a bet on a World Series winner, and you don't want to go with the obvious, I was saying bet on Arizona Diamondbacks. Because it was like something like 3,000 to 1.
Oh wow.
And so if you bet $10 and it hit, you'd get $30,000. So
I'd make that bet.
It could still happen, but they're in third place in the NL West. But if they were in any other division, they'd be battling it out for first place. And you got the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks going on, and they may have had the game of the year yesterday, at which the Dodgers were trailing by 6 going into the 9th. Well, no worries.
Of course.
They tied the score, and then Shohei Ohtani came up and hit a 3-run homer, and the Dodgers won 14-11.
Jeez.
So they have no problems with their offense. Their problem's been Corbin Burns has not been that great, and he was scratched from his start, and he's had injuries issues. Zach Gallen has not been that great, except for the last time out. And so I thought, you've got the Dodgers and you got the Padres, and but I thought Arizona would be playing better baseball than this. And San Francisco, if you want to talk about a surprise, I've been accused that I can't say anything good about the Giants, which if you're a Dodger guy, that just does not fly. But they have played extremely well. And they played well at home. They played well on the road. So we have a heck of a division race coming up.
Absolutely.
Between these 4 teams right here. And, East Coast gets all the press, but the West Coast right here, you need to pay attention to the NL West because all these teams might make the playoffs.
I'm kind of shocked. I don't want to say shocked, but I'm surprised you didn't say anything about Atlanta.
Well,
They had
I
to a
would have
really
said
slow
that.
start. They've started picking it up a little bit more, but
That's why
they're
I
still
didn't
2 games
go
under
there.
500.
They started off 0-7, and they've been
Yeah.
trying to get to 500 ever since then.
Right.
And I think that they still will. And so the play of late I didn't go there because they all started off 0-7 and they're 2 games below 500. So they're playing much better baseball. And so I didn't go with Atlanta. And you talk about disappointments, almost all of their hitters have been disappointing. Doesn't matter who you might want to talk about. Albies, Riley, doesn't matter. They've all underperformed. And but they've been able to weather this a little bit. But they don't want to, because the Mets are playing well.
Yeah.
And my biggest surprise player in the National League has to be Pete Alonso.
Hmm.
And the reason
that-
why I say that is not because he's hitting home runs, because he's done that forever. But this week he was hitting .331.
Wow.
He's never hit higher than 270 in his entire career.
Wow.
So,
That's
and in the last couple of years, he's not. His offensive production has gone down, and that's why he's set on the as a free agent as long as he did. And the other factor is he's got the biggest loudmouth of a guy representing him. He was representing him like he was the second coming, and so he didn't sign till later in the winter. But if you had told me, came to me and said, "Hey, what would you bet against Pete Alonso hitting .331?" I'll bet the house.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody would blame you there, talking about his career average, but I have to give credit to the leader of the show, Ryan. You kind of called it. You said in our baseball preview show, you said maybe this homecoming for Pete Alonso will work out. Maybe he'll rebound a little bit. And I'm not going to have you play the element because it's a long tail on it. But Rystradamus kind of struck again, silently, but you did strike again.
Look, I mean, it could have gone one of two ways for Pete Alonso this year. So, he signed a 2-year deal, $54 million guaranteed, as the opt-out after this season. If he continues the way he's going right now, he's going to stay in New York, especially if they win a World Series. He's going to want to stay. But if it would have been more disappointing, I think he would have been gone somewhere else after this year. But hey, good on Pete. Good on the polar bear for having the way he's going right now.
Is that a great nickname or what?
Yeah, that's the best. I love the nickname. One of my favorites, I think it was Billy Butler when he was in KC. It was the Country Breakfast. I'm like, that's awesome. I love that.
And so the Mets are in first place.
They sure are.
And it's more because I know that Mr. Soto hit 2 home runs the other day. But they're in first place more because of Pete Alonso than they are because of Soto.
Yeah.
I was going to say, don't ask the folks at WFAN how they feel about Juan Soto. He could hit 4 home runs every game of the rest of the season. It would still down talk him. Like, why?
Well, I will say I was at a buddy of mine's hanging at the house right now. He's out there relaxing on the couch. But we went to a local bar that opened up by me recently, Ryan. The Corner Bar and Grill. We got to go there. They had Detroit style pizzas, delicious.
Ooh.
But we were watching a game there. We were watching part of the Met game there last night. Soto absolutely destroyed a high fastball that somebody let. He's picking it up. He's picking it up for sure now.
Oh, guys, we have some breaking news.
Oh.
Where's that stinger? I got to take off this banner. Hang on. The breaking news. Breaking news stinger is here somewhere.
Where is it?
I got it. Okay, here it is. Breaking news. Heard the New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr has announced his retirement.
Holy moly.
Yep.
Wow.
Full statement on Twitter from the New Orleans Saints. It says Derek Carr has announced his retirement. In late March, while ramping up his preparation for the 2025 season, Derek experienced pain in his right shoulder. It was his first time throwing a football at significant volume since recovering from both a concussion and a left hand injury sustained during play on December 8th, 2024. Derek immediately contacted the Saints medical team. Eventually, medical scans determined objectively that Derek sustained a labral tear and also had significant degenerative changes to his rotator cuff.
You hate to hear the word degenerative in any kind of medical discussion.
Yeah. Continuing, it says, since that time, Derek, his representation, the Saints medical team, and outward medical experts have worked together to determine the best path forward. Surgery wasn't an option, jeopardizing the entire 2025 season, yet there was no guarantee Derek would return to the level of strength, function, and performance of play to which he was accustomed. Upon consultation with his wife, Heather, Derek has decided it is in his best interests of both his family and the Saints organization to retire from the National Football League. And this is what he says. He says, upon reflection of prayer and discussion with Heather, I decided to retire from the National Football League, says Carr. For more than 11 years, we've been incredibly blessed, and we are forever grateful and humbled by this experience. It's difficult to find the right words to express our thanks to all the teammates, coaches, management, ownership, team officials, and especially the fans who made this journey so special. Your unwavering support has meant the world to us. End quote.
Oh, man. That's sad because this is obviously, this is not the way he wanted to go out. But I think he's making the right decision because, as you pointed out, degenerative are not words you want to hear, Kevin. But I always felt, as two football connoisseurs, obviously, that both of you are, I always felt that Derek Carr got a lot of unnecessary hate from people. And I thought that he had a few years playing in Oakland for the Raiders where he had the offense cooking. I mean, the first year when Gruden originally got there, the Raiders were doing a decent job, and then everything obviously went down with Gruden, and they had the interim coach take over there. But the Raiders, they were in the mix that year, if memory serves, and Derek Carr was a lot of the reason why. I just don't think he could ever quite put it together the way he wanted to. But I think Derek Carr, a lot of people downplayed his abilities. Derek Carr was better than you realize. And I think Raider fans, they certainly realized because they wanted him out. They wanted him out. But after watching Aiden O'Connell play and a few of the other quarterback luminaries, I bet you they'd be clamoring for Derek Carr right now. And when the Rodgers injury happened in New York in his first year, I was vocal. I said the Jets would go get Derek Carr.
I thought Derek Carr was going to be a New York Jet. I actually made the case on a written article on Belly Up Sports not too long ago. Probably say about right before the whole Aaron Rodgers thing went down about which quarterback was going to be brought in to take the Jets to the next level. And they had been flirting with the idea of bringing him in, but New Orleans got to him first. So Derek Carr, we wish you well, man.
We do. And I agree with you, Dustin, that I think that I liked him more than most.
Mm-hmm.
And but you play for the Raiders, and sometimes it's ugly.
Yeah,
up there. And so then I thought, well, okay, he went down to New Orleans. I thought that would be a good fit down there, and it's unfortunate of this injury. And if you're the Saints, you probably would have preferred he made this announcement like 3 weeks ago, so that you go into the draft. I know they drafted a quarterback, but what are the Saints going to do now?
I'll tell you what I think they might do. They might do it. They're going to at least kick the tires on Kirk Cousins now.
They're going to have somebody. Yeah. I don't want to pick the guys. I don't want to pick the bones too soon of what the Saints are going to do now. But
right.
I just want to focus on the greatness that Derek Carr did show.
He was. I liked him a lot.
Yeah.
And I liked the other Carr quarterback that took a lot of criticism, way more than he should have had. Because he was the first pick of the Houston Texans.
Oh yeah, David had no shot behind that offense.
He got sacked 187 times his first year, and And you wouldn't blame him for just hearing, train whistles and seeing the train lights coming at him every time he snapped a football. So
yeah. But Derek, we wish you the best. You really, especially to open last year. Do you remember those first 3 games for the Saints? Woo.
Yes.
We were thinking they were going to go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I saw them play down here in Dallas, and they put 40 on them.
Oh yeah,
They put 35 up in the first half. I remember.
I believe so, and so it just that just goes to show you that if you're an athlete, you need to be happy and grateful for every minute you have to play the game, because it might not be that way tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean to correct myself. They put 35 up in the Cowboys in the first half. My apologies.
Yeah, there you go. There
I
you
checked
go.
myself. But they won 44-19. Yeah, they won 44-19.
They put 35. That's all. Okay.
Yeah, and they beat the Panthers the week before 47-10. And then the wheels kind of fell off afterwards. So
Yeah.
All right. We've gone over almost 50 minutes with talking sports, but we're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk a little Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll go to the comment section. We'll do some hot food takes and our favorite athletes to wear the number 33. So stand by. Stay tuned for more No Credentials Required. This episode of No Credentials Required is brought to you by Invader Coffee. For the coffee lover who wants good, quality coffee with no bullshit and no filler, Invader Coffee is an ultra-premium, veteran-owned coffee company proudly delivering only the best coffee your hard-earned money can buy. They aim to only serve the highest quality, organic, air-roasted coffee beans sourced from free trade farms all over the world. They keep things simple. The best coffee at an affordable price in order to provide you with the value you deserve for your morning boost. 100% fair trade, 100% organic coffee beans, 100% air-roasted, 100% money-back guarantee. Visit invadercoffee.com, enter promo code BELLYUP at checkout, and receive 15% off your order. So I don't have a mug this morning, but I do have a shaker bottle. And what's in this shaker bottle is a little protein powder and some Invader coffee that I cold pressed for myself.
I don't think I've never heard of coffee being in a shaker cup.
You've mixed it with some chocolate protein powder. You make yourself a nice mocha milkshake or coffee protein shake.
So there, you heard it here first.
Yeah. So I'm trying something different these days. I'm trying to keep my trying to keep from snacking so much in the morning.
Yeah.
But I thought last week I had run out of Invader coffee, but I actually had a little bit left. It kind of got me through the week. And today's episode, I've got some cold pressed coffee with some protein powder. And this week, I also ordered a case of the cold brew, so I can do this on a regular basis every day now.
Oh, nice. Okay. I am also, Blue Mug is here.
Yeah.
Invader is here. I am shedding a tear because this is about the last of my donut dealer batch. I'm going to have to see when it comes back in stock. I'm going to have to get some more. But as I mentioned, I got a friend staying with me right now. He had his first cup of Invader coffee this morning, and he is a fan. So I told him, I said, you could use the promo code BELLYUP at checkout, and you get 15% off your order. Use the affiliate link because it helps our fine show. Mm-hmm. And also, you can sign up for their emails, and they're not invasive. They just tell you when there's deals, and they tell you when your favorited blends are back in stock. And their customer service, unmatched. You pay a little bit more for the priority shipping, but it gets here super fast.
Absolutely, it does. Yeah, and it's great. It's because it's a veteran-owned coffee company. Kevin, you're a veteran of the U.S. Navy.
That's right.
I suspect you probably want to have a company like this being supported. So, but also one other thing you can do with Invader coffee, not only can you buy their coffee, their great coffee, you can buy it whole bean, you can buy it ground, you can buy the cold brew, you can buy the K-Cups. Wish they had a little bit more variety with the K-Cups, but hopefully we'll get that message. But you can also, through the Move America Forward Foundation, you can also buy a bag of coffee for a currently deployed military member.
I am absolutely down with that.
Because the last thing you want on the battlefield when you're eliminating the enemy is crappy coffee.
Oh.
So,
Ryan, when you said that, I just pictured somebody with a coffee thermos in one hand and a gun in the other, and they're just running, drinking the coffee.
well, on your downtime.
From
from battling the bad guys. So again, as Dustin mentioned, link in the description is our affiliate link. It helps the show. Every order helps the show. You can also save 15% off your order by using the promo code BELLYUP. And again, great shipping comes to your door fresh. Whether you get it whole bean or whether you get it ground, I get it whole bean because I like to get it like to grind the beans myself for the freshest coffee. But I'm getting the cold brew this time, so I'll be enjoying the cold brew with protein powder and enjoying my breakfast. So again, link in the description for Invader Coffee, who has been one of our sponsors here, affiliate sponsors here at No Credentials Required since basically the beginning. And Invader Coffee, you get the No Credentials Required seal of approval.
All right.
There's Puppers.
There he is.
Good old Puppers. Let's visit the comments section real quick. Sig Diggy joining us from Norway, friend of the show, saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Wow.
D is going to be boiling some shrimp today.
Oh,
okay. I'm highly supportive of that.
Sig Diggy saying, what in the St. Louis Cardinals in all blue uniform is this? It's our show.
I think it was the announcement of Kevin. I think he was giving the intro there.
And in regards to Meatloaf, he says he prefers the Bat Out of Hell variety.
Okay.
I see what you did there, Sick.
Shout out to Richard Steinman.
Okay.
Yes.
Points. You get points for that.
There you go. James saying the A should barnstorm around the West Coast. Yeah, they should. That would be kind of cool.
No, it's great to see them doing well this year.
Sick also asked, forget about the A's. What about the resident possums of the old Oakland Coliseum? Those poor possums. I'm sure they'll find a new home at the press box in LA at Dodger Stadium.
I'm always impressed. Sick likes to bring up a couple things on the show. My hair, his love for almond milk, and he can hang with us on any topic, but he has referred to the possums at the old Oakland Coliseum. I want to say it's at least 8 times on the show. So that's impressive, Sick. Keep it up.
How do you milk an almond, Sick? Do you sing toot toot shrimp train? She's also complimenting me on my beard. She says it stands out today. It looks good. Thank you, D.
It does, sir. It does.
And she also says, wishing Derek Carr all the best. Football is a tough, demanding sport. It certainly is. Oh, and Sick also says, especially dark chocolate almond.
There we go.
That's his favorite. But again, how do you milk an almond? All right, we're going to talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs real quickly. Conference semis continue. We had the opening conference semis last night. Florida beat Toronto in overtime in a really thrilling game. Last night, Winnipeg evened their series with Dallas with a 4-0 shutout in Winnipeg. Can't win them all, Kevin. Sorry. But the surprising, and then also in other series, Washington and Carolina, they're tied up at 1. But the surprising series, I think, in my mind, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people's mind, except for Dustin, the Edmonton Oilers have a 2-0 series lead over the Vegas Golden Knights. So, Dustin, what's going on?
Well, even as an Oiler fan, I'm shocked about this because I remember telling you when I listened to the Stanley Cup preview show that you did with Brent when I was not here. I thought you both were dead on. I didn't think the Oilers were going to get past the Kings for a fourth time. I didn't think it was going to happen, and it was looking bleak for the Oilers at the beginning of that series, and they have come back, which that's become one of their hallmarks for this playoffs. They can come back. They have the resiliency to come back. And you asked me on Tuesday's show, you said, how much do you think this is attributed to the switch in goal? And I said, well, that's definitely part of it. And I waxed episodic about the memories of Dwayne Rollison coming in and being the hot hand for that run. But I have to scold myself as an Oiler fan because to me, one of the most obvious differences, Draisaitl struggled in the playoffs last year. He struggled to score. He was not scoring. He did not have a goal I remember he finally scored in the Stanley Cup Finals, and that was his first goal of the entire playoffs. It was a drought, and that is not the case this year. He's really, because you pointed out before the show in the green room when you, Kevin, and I were chopping it up, McDavid hasn't been the goal scorer. He has what, one goal, I think?
He has. Well, it was a tweet from the Athletic. It was published yesterday.
Yep, I saw that.
And their 6-game winning streak since losing Game 2 to Los Angeles, they have scored 26 goals. And in that time, those 6 games, they scored those goals. McDavid has scored once, but he has, I think he said 6 assists.
Yes,
9 actually.
He's been the facilitator, which is a massive part of his game. Even the other night when the Oilers came back to win again in overtime, he set up that Draisaitl goal. He fed Leon Draisaitl for that goal. And also, I want to give a short shout out. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like I've been able to watch a lot of the Oilers games. They start late, people. Okay. I am a fan, but I am also an older man now. I am not the night owl I once was. So I haven't seen as many, but Corey Perry seems to have been picking it up a little bit too. He's got a lot of playoff experience. And, he's making those gritty, savvy plays that help a hockey team win. So I got to give a special shout to Corey Perry, because his playoff experience is paying off, in my opinion, and it's helping the Oilers navigate this. And I am as shocked as anybody about this. I did, especially with the way the Kings series opened. And then, I just didn't. They keep falling behind early in games, but they managed to come back. So maybe this is the time. They have the feel of a resilient team this year. And I told you last show that I think McDavid realizes the urgency. And while he may not be scoring as much as he is capable of doing, he's certainly setting everybody else up. And yes, as James points out correctly in the comments, getting Evander Kane back doesn't hurt either. Yes. He has been good for the Oilers. The Oilers got a lot of flack when they initially signed him, but you can't deny he's been a good piece for Edmonton.
The biggest part I think right now, I think the switch in goaltending, that was huge, and that was huge, because Calvin Pickard's stats aren't very sexy right now. But he's 6-0 in 7 games played. He's 6-0. He's got an .888 save percentage and a 2.84.
That's not that good. That's not that good.
Not that good, but he's still 6-0 because Edmonton, the team in front of him, is scoring goals. Yeah. And as of right now, your leaders in scoring for the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid at 14 points, only 2 goals and 2 assists. But leading the team with 5 goals is the aforementioned Leon Draisaitl.
That's the biggest difference for me, because last year that was not the case. For their playoff run, he really couldn't get it going.
And it was interesting that Zach Hyman, the guy who picked things up, he's only got how many goals so far? He's only got 3 goals, but he's got 4 assists and he's a +4. So he's doing his part. But it's a long series. I mean, they played tonight. They played tonight at 9 p.m. Carolina and Washington, they play at 6 p.m. So I'll try to switch back and forth between the hockey games and I think there's a pay-per-view. Premium live event.
Oh, a PLE.
A PLE for WWE
PLE for the WWE. I see what you did there.
Yeah, that's right. Carolina and Washington is just as I expected. Low scoring, not a lot of chances for both teams, especially in game 1. Carolina seemed to clog up the neutral zone, which I remember a certain team getting land-basted back in the day for clogging up the neutral zone, yet they still won 3 Stanley Cups.
You can't argue with facts, Ryan.
This was the team that supposedly killed hockey, but no, hockey's still around.
It is.
But again, this series is going the way I expected it. Both teams playing very well, and I'm expecting. I think this series might go 6 or 7 between Washington and Carolina. Golden Knights Oilers. Let's see what happens tonight. If the Golden Knights can steal one, then it turns into a new series. If the Oilers win, that might be fait accompli. But hey,
I know teams come back 3-0 in hockey, but it's not going to happen.
Hey, we saw it last year with the Oilers in the Stanley Cup final.
The Oilers
they were down 3-0.
That's true, but they still didn't win.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. You go down 3-0, that's put the coffin in place.
That last April / all the way leading up to June was one of the. I was thrilled that both teams, two of the teams I root for were in their respective finals. But I knew the Mavericks were going to get dusted by the Celtics. I knew that was going to happen. So the Oilers are where I pinned my hopes. And when they started out and were down 3-0, I'm going, oh man. But then it almost hurt more because they came all the way back and they made me believe. And then that game 7, it just didn't work out. But man, it was fun. And I would like to, I know we usually don't get into basketball, but hey, special shout out to the Knicks for being up on the Celtics.
That's right now. Let me ask you guys this, okay?
Should I play it, Dustin? Should I play it?
Play it.
Yeah, you can play it again.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, I'll play it. Then I'll give Kevin the floor. Hang on.
All right.
The following is a public service announcement from Wise El Jefe,
Boston.
This has been a public service announcement from Wise El Jefe.
Shout out to our tribal chief. Go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
Okay, so my question, has there ever been a team that needed to be slapped down more than the Boston Celtics, whose egos are so huge that they're just out there and they're playing their thing, work or not work, okay? And it's not working. And I could shoot threes better than what they're doing. Okay.
I know a team that
I guarantee I can. Okay. Because what were they, like 10 for 57 or some crazy thing like that? I could hit 10 out of 57. Okay. I could do that. And the Celtics refuse to change their mode of play. Okay. And so I'm glad that they're down 0-2. And I hope they get slapped repeatedly by the New York Knicks. And because I've been to Madison Square Garden, I know what that's like. Okay. And so let's get the Celtics off the stage as fast as possible. That's the way I feel about that.
I know one team that had to get their ego slapped. That was last round. That's the Lakers.
Oh,
lost in 5. They lost in 5 to Minnesota.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable to me that you've got a guy, what did he have, like 27 points and 24 rebounds, and you won't switch on him? You're not going to double team a guy that had like 6 points or something crazy, and it's really amazing to me when teams just won't change what they're doing based on current events. Yeah. Now, if the Celtics took 50 shots and hit 40 of them, I could see not changing it. And the Mavericks have been as guilty of that as anybody else when they're shooting threes and they're 6 for 36 and they won't change.
Yeah.
And if it's the threes aren't hitting, get the ball inside and take some easy shots, man. Get your offense working, but the Celtics will not do it. And so I am not sad at all that they are down in this series.
Yeah, and I think I saw something yesterday. Somebody tweeted, "Is the mid-range jumper dead?"
It is.
And honestly, I think that's why Ryan and I have talked about it. We don't really cover the NBA on the show, and I think this is one of the reasons why. It's because nobody wants to. It's all fast break and threes now. Nobody wants to work on the mid-range game and get it going. And I know I'm probably going to get, some NBA players are going to come at me for saying that. We know you're all big fans. We know you watch No Credentials Required.
That's right. And, you can send hate mail my way as well. So.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's one of the reasons why I haven't largely watched a lot of the NBA playoffs this year. I've watched more of the Stanley Cup playoffs because I feel it's the best playoff
It is.
series
It
in
is.
sports.
I agree with you, Dustin, 100%.
And I know Ryan feels that way for sure. I mean, that's why we like this time of year, because we can cover what we want. And
Stanley Cup playoffs as superior playoffs.
Yeah,
Changed my mind.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with that, because I've been to the NBA playoffs and I've been to the NHL playoffs, and the NHL playoffs are far superior.
I have to tell a story. I think maybe I told the Dustin, because you mentioned mentioned Madison Square Garden, Kevin.
Yes.
I may have told the story to Dustin, but I may have not. But if I'm repeating myself, Dustin, forgive me.
Oh, it's quite all right.
I went to my favorite watering hole last night to watch a couple of games. Watch the Panthers Maple Leafs game, and had my kind of loosely pay attention to the Pacers Cavaliers. Loosely, and I say loosely paying attention in the kindest of terms. And this guys at the bar and I were talking about the New York Jets. We got to talk about the New York Jets because we were all three of us were New York Jets fans.
Okay. And
I was mentioning how the fact that the Jets were supposed to get their own stadium in the 2000s. They had, because they were trying to get the bid for the 2012 Olympics, which eventually went to London, and that bid fell apart pretty much. I wouldn't say right off the bat, but they had the approval of Governor George Pataki, they had the approval of Sheldon Silver, and they had this approval of Joe Bruno, who were the majority and minority leaders at the time.
Mm-hmm.
The person who got in the way of the Olympic Stadium being built on the west side of town was one James Dolan, owner of the New York Knicks and New York Rangers and Madison Square Garden and Radio City Music Hall.
True.
Because he was so short-sighted in his thinking, he thought a new stadium in New York was going to take all the business away from the concerts and the other things from his business in Madison Square Garden. His short-sightedness in that the fact that the Olympics would have actually made a lot of money for him, because they could have hosted boxing, they could have hosted gymnastics, they could have hosted the men's and women's basketball finals at Madison Square Garden. And yet you could still had your concerts, because after the Olympics, the Jets are going to move in. We're going to move into that stadium and make it their home.
Yeah.
I will never. I said after that happened, I said I will never step foot. I will never give my money to James Dolan. I will never step foot in Madison Square Garden as long as he owns either the Rangers or the Knicks. I'll step into that arena when he changes ownership. But as long as he's owner of either team, I will not give him my money.
All right.
Okay, that's good to know that, because we may journey back over to New York at some point, so we'll have to stay clear of Madison Square Garden.
There you go. So
well,
right.
If you make the journey to New York, Kevin, we might have to figure out a meetup somewhere.
We would have to absolutely do that.
Yeah. We're gonna go to the comments section real quick. James says Stars in 6. They stole the game they needed in Winnipeg, and the Jets haven't won a road game this season. Again, one road game could change the complexion of the entire series. So it's tied up at 1 now. Let's see if Connor Hellebuck can tune it in.
Just don't let it get to a game 7, because the coach of the Dallas Stars has never lost a game 7. It's one of the more fantastic streaks that you want to talk about. 9-0 in game 7s.
Yep, and I remember he won a game 7 with the New Jersey when he was coaching New Jersey Devils. That was in 2012. That was on their march to the Stanley Cup final. Dee's Ray Sunshine saying, "Great job, Oilers." She says the Jets are going to lose because I started pulling for them. Only Florida is good enough to overcome that curse. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see. James saying, I was surprised that Jack Michaels still had a voice after that game 7. I think he's referring to the Jets Blues, and the Jack Michaels is the announcer for the Jets. And I listened to that broadcast from from overtime into the second overtime, and that guy is. I love listening to radio hockey on the radio.
Yeah,
I love the NHL app. The fact that the NHL app offers the radio for free. With MLB, you have to pay to get their radio. They have to pay like $3 a month, $4 a month to get their radio calls. NHL, you get them for free.
I gotta. You remind me of that, and then I always forget. I gotta start downloading them so that maybe I can listen to games while I'm walking around here or doing something around the house.
Yeah. James saying the Celtics are learning a lesson: live by the law of the percentage shot. Live by the low percentage shot. Die by the low percentage shot. He also said Jack Michaels is the Oilers radio commentator. My fault. Sorry.
So it was for the Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. Yeah, last year.
Yeah. He also says Rudy Gobert squashed the Lakers in Game 5. NBA's all chucks and dunks now. I don't mind the dunk.
Yeah,
if it's well designed play.
Yeah.
If it's just a breakaway, then it's cherry picking in my mind. And Sick saying Lakers in 5. Shannon Sharp. Ugh.
Yeah.
Sharp. If you follow that story, it's gross. We won't mention it here because we're better people.
Yeah, we're trying to be upstanding citizens. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spike the football on him. Last week we had Levac and Gaz on. We talked about Bill Belichick's girlfriend, him and his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And it was rumored that she was not allowed on campus at UNC, but that rumor was squashed. So.
I did check out some of that episode. I like the part where Gaz put his tinfoil hat on and was talking about the fact that he does not think she's 24. he
said that on Friday on the radio show on Friday. I'm like,
you referenced it. You referenced it. That he's like, I still don't. I still don't.
Call back. No, I didn't do a call back because I looked at some pictures while they were jiving, and I'm going, I can see it in a way, but then again, you got all the makeups. Plastered on you. I would understand why
makeups and filters and everything. I mean, there's nothing I can do about these bags under the eyes. It is what it is here.
Before we move on to hot food takes and we wrap up the show with our favorite athletes to wear the number 33, Utah Hockey Club is now known as the Utah Mammoth. Quick thoughts. Yay or nay?
Nay.
All right, that was fast, Dustin.
Well, I think we were talking about it in the green room a little bit before the show. I'm kind of with Kevin. I like the logo, but I don't like it a lot.
Name. But come on,
the name.
I like it. And I guess the backstory behind it is that there's a team in Major League in the National Lacrosse League, the Colorado Mammoth, who had to give their blessing for the name to be used. I like the logo. I like if you go and watch the presentation, it had to take months to make that presentation.
Yes,
but I liked it. It was pretty cool. It's just disappointing they couldn't use the Yeti. I think everybody was on board with the Yeti, but unfortunately, the Yeti cooler company said no. We're going to file an injunction. You can't use that name. And it's like, all right, well, I'm never using your product ever.
Okay, so. I've failed to really get a grasp on copyrights a lot of times where you've got 700 teams that are Tigers, right? And that's okay.
Yeah.
And, stuff like that. But if you're not trying to name your cooler, the Yeti, okay? You're naming a sports team. So I don't understand how that even comes into to effect. We're not naming it's a sports team.
Yeah.
So how does that have any effect on Yeti coolers? And Yeti had a built-in pipeline of free publicity.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
It would have been huge. And to me, and I'll bring it into those of you that know me know that I love video games. You know that I stream for charity once a year. Going to start doing that more. Probably a few more extra live streams in the midst. But Nintendo is like this. Nintendo will come after you for anything. Now, I love Nintendo. I tried to get a Switch 2 with the pre-ordered event. I failed miserably. Yes, I was an almost 42-year-old man staying up past midnight trying to get one on the East Coast. Didn't work out for me. Target, Best Buy, get your ish together. Walmart had it pretty good. I just couldn't get it in there. But anyway, Nintendo, this is very short-sighted because when streaming first became a thing and Twitch became a thing, Nintendo wouldn't let anybody stream footage of their games. They would come after everybody. Anyone who tried, they would send a cease and desist and threaten legal action. And they've since modified their stance because they realize if one of these big streamers streams a new game that you just launched, it's going to help sales. And I feel like Yeti, this is a missed opportunity by them. Like you said, they had built-in marketing. This is scared litigation is what I like to call this.
Yep.
Maybe it's because they're from Utah. Maybe they thought they wouldn't get as much publicity if it was, a New York team, but still,
yeah,
that's a missed opportunity to me.
You missed the fact that Utah sports fans are crazy for their teams.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah,
that's true.
Look at the Jazz. Look at the Real St. Lake. Salt Lake.
Utah doesn't have the greatest when it comes to names in their history because Jazz should have been changed in 1982.
Yeah.
So there's nothing jazzy about Salt Lake City. Okay. And so they should have changed that. I've never understood that because they're the Beehive State. They could have used Hornets long before Carolina came around. And that would have been fine. Utah Hornets? That sounds like a great name to me.
Yeah, that would have been cool. I mean, I love the Charlotte Hornets. I saw a meme recently that was like, if you didn't have a basketball team in the 90s, you were just a Charlotte Hornets fan. And it is what it is. Nobody knows why, but it's what happened. I think it was the colors and the old starter jackets. That's what did it for me anyway. But but yeah, I mean, New Orleans. The New Orleans should be the Jazz.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, we gotta move quickly. We got some more comments in the comment section. James saying blown sponsorship opportunity on Yeti Cooler's part. They could have been the name sponsorship for the
that's right.
That's being built in 2030.
Yeah.
The Olympics.
Yeah.
Saying if you all think Bill Belichick's relationship is messed up, imagine who's with Jerry Jones in the owner's box. No, I don't.
No, let's not do that.
Let's not. And say we did.
He's going to ask one of his sons to make him a sandwich and polish his glasses.
That's right.
You were going to say something, Kevin. I'm sorry. The ownership, corporate partnership, corporate naming rights for the new arena.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah. Yeti
not
Arena.
Delta Center. Okay, not doubt that. All right.
Yeti Coolers Coliseum.
Yeah.
And there you go.
The YCC.
Right?
I mean, come on, it works. It rolls off the tongue.
It does. You down with YCC? Yeah, you know
yes,
me.
It does. And so that's really. I don't understand how you. I don't even know what the plural of mammoth. Maybe it is mammoth. I don't know.
I think it is mammoth. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will say this though. In Cohoes, New York, which is right down the road from us, there was a archaeological phenomenon called the Cohoes Mastodon. And if the NHL or any other sports team were to play in Cohoes, New York, automatically we have a team name, the Cohoes Mastodon.
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
You get an arena right down on Remsen, which Remsen has some good restaurants on it, man. Remsen Street in Cohoes, it's got a good stretch of restaurants.
And they could have used mastodons because the mastodon is related to the mammoth.
Yeah,
right.
They could have, yeah,
could have.
Oh wow. I'm a fan. Look, personally, I'm a fan of the team name. I'm a fan of that logo. That logo is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it's got the mountains in it and everything. I'm really down with the logo because, my family, I was born in Utah, but my family still lives there. And my mom was talking to me about this the other day. She goes, you want a shirt? And I was like, well, I'll have to think about this because mammoth really is not rolling off my tongue. But that logo is on point.
It's beautiful, and the color scheme is incredible. I love that color scheme. The blue, the ice blue, the black, the white. It's great. I love it.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to call her back up and say, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we gotta move quickly because we're almost an hour and a half.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about hot food takes. We'll go quickly on this. We're having a battle of the potato side dishes because today it's shrimp boil day. What are you gonna have with your shrimp boil? Especially if it's the potato side dish variety. Kevin, since you're our guest on Saturdays, why don't you start with what's your top potato side dish?
I'm going to have to go with potato salad.
Okay.
I really, really like potato salad as long as you leave the onions out of it. That's very important to me. And
my mom makes it with eggs.
Oh, I
of
love
course,
that.
of course.
Now, do
And
you do mayonnaise, or do you like a vinegar or olive oil type of mix?
it's mayonnaise, vinegar. What are we talking about with that?
Oh, I said mayonnaise or vinegar
but
and olive oil.
He said mayonnaise, vinegar. What are
Okay.
we talking about with that? Yeah.
All right, I got you.
Yeah.
The gear for the Mammoth drops on Tuesday, so you can get your t-shirts.
Okay. Tomorrow's Mother's Day, so I'll have to call her up and point that out. So
there you go.
There you go.
So potato salad for Kevin. I'm sorry, Wednesday. Wednesday is the 14th.
Wednesday, okay.
Yep. So potato salad with eggs and mayonnaise for Kevin. Dustin, what are you bringing? What are you getting? What are you munching on for the shrimp boil for your potato side dish?
Man, when it comes to potato side dishes of all kinds, I'm doing French fries. I know that'd be a weird side for a shrimp boil, but I'll eat French fries with anything. As I get older, I appreciate the French fries more and more. They can go with anything: a steak, shrimp boil, whatever you want. You could put them in a burrito. French fries are the potato side dish for me. Honorable shout out to mashed potatoes. I will also eat mashed potatoes in any scenario.
Okay, so you got 3,000 different kinds of French fries. So are we talking crinkle cut, or what are we talking about?
I am a fan.
Crinkle cut.
I am a fan
Nudges.
of the straight cut fries. And I'm not sweet potato fries. They don't make the cut for me.
No, they're not getting in this house. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, they don't make the cut for me, but it's straight cut traditional fries. Crinkle fries have their place. I love them. If I go to Nathan's, Ryan, we can get the crinkle fries there.
Fries.
But yeah, it's straight cut fries for me. I'll also, if I want to be a little playful, I'll get the curly fries sometimes. But what I don't like is this new trend of shoestring fries. That doesn't jive with me. Give me a traditional straight cut.
Okay, so we got potato salad for Kevin, French fries, straight cut for Dustin. I'm going to give myself a pat in the back here because I'm going to acknowledge my own works for potato side dishes. I make a killer potato pancetta leek hash.
That you do. I've eaten it, and I almost pick home fries, but the home fries are amazing.
That would have been amazing too. Yeah,
home fries are banging, but I'm going to go with my own creation, the potato pancetta leek hash. Get some red potatoes, boil them up.
Okay.
Get some pancetta, some leeks. Put them on a side pan. Combine them all together. Make sure that you get a little crispy in the potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
And eat. It's awesome.
I can attest. I've had it before. The leeks bring a lot to the dish. I really like it. And the pancetta, you cook the pancetta first, and then you roast everything else in the fat. It's genius work. Fat is flavor.
Yep, it is. Fat is your friend, folks. Fat is your friend. And that's going to do it for this edition of Hot Food Takes.
So glad the burger's back. It's been a week since I've seen the burger.
An abridged edition of it.
Yeah.
All right. In our last segment, we'll move quickly into our favorite athletes to wear the number 33. And I did think about this for a bit, but I can make my decision. But I'm going to let our panelist, our guest panelist, take it away from here. Who's your favorite athlete? And this is somebody. And again, this is the rules. Kevin, has to be somebody you watched. You've actually watched on television or watched live. Can't be like a legendary player that you never saw play. Like I can't take Babe Ruth. I can't take Joe DiMaggio. I can't take any of those guys. But I can take other athletes. So your favorite athlete to wear the number 33.
Okay, so my player happens to be a legend, and that's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, number 33 for the Lakers, and I was at one time a Lakers, Showtime fan, and he had the most unstoppable shot in the history of basketball, and 6-time MVP of the league, and So I enjoyed watching him play. Of course, the Utah Jazz, rose to prominence and broke my heart every year since then. But when we were talking about the Showtime Lakers, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was just the player I enjoyed watching, and because that was back in the days where you had 20 centers that were good players, not like today where there are 2 centers, 3 maybe. But so he went up against these guys that are legends of their own, and he dominated. So I really liked watching Kareem Abdul-Jabbar play.
All right. Dustin, your favorite number 33.
I'm cheating a little bit. Because I didn't see this guy play in his heyday. But, however, I was watching when he was a member of the Dream Team. Even though it was a broken down version, his back was injured beyond repair at that point. But I still saw him. I'm going one, Larry Bird. Larry Legend
Excellent
makes
choice.
my list for 33. Has to be one of the picks. I mean, I think it's one of the things where younger people don't realize. The people that know, and even I don't really know because I didn't see him. I wasn't watching. I was alive, but I wasn't watching basketball during his heyday with the Celtics. But when I saw him on the Dream Team, I'm like, who is this guy? And then I kind of went back and all the things about Larry, his legendary trash talker. He would also call his shots. He would tell the person exactly what he was going to do, and then he would do it to the defender. And there's a story in the Lakers versus Celtics Best of Enemies 30 for 30. I have all 3 parts queued up on my DVR. Probably going to watch them this weekend at some point. Cedric Maxwell says, when they drafted Larry, I said, this boy, I don't know if he can play. And he said it took 1 practice and he realized. And then there's the story about Larry showing up in jeans to work out for the Celtics, and he destroyed everybody in a pair of jeans. It just Larry. There's not enough. And actually, I know Larry from his time coaching the Pacers as well. He was a Pacers coach there. But Larry, always liked the way he conducted himself. To hear the stories about Larry, he's one of the best 3-point shooters to ever do it. He had so many moves he could beat you with. Larry Legend is my pick for number 33.
So before I give my number 33, I got some honorable mentions here. Scottie Pippen, honorable mention for me.
Yeah, very
Patrick
good.
Ewing,
Patrick Ewing,
mention.
I thought about it. Yep.
Eddie Murray, great hitter for the Baltimore Orioles. Played for 20 seasons in that team. Tony Dorsett, Roger Craig. Got a few of them. Grant Hill.
Mm-hmm. Right. Oh, yeah, Grant Hill was huge.
But my favorite athlete to wear number 33, Patrick Roy.
Oh, of course. I should have seen this coming. And respect to you, who could pick one of your chief rivals here.
Broke my heart in 2001 when his Colorado Avalanche beat my New Jersey Devils in 7 games. We should have won Game 6. But I got to see Patrick Roy play live in 1995. Did a class trip for French, my French class, my senior year. Went up to Montreal, went to the Forum, the old Forum. Got to see Patrick Roy play in a game against the Florida Panthers in that very abridged 1995 season. But I loved his style. I loved his trash. He's a great trash talker too. Remember when I think it was the Coyotes and the Avalanche were playing in a series. Jeremy Roenick had said something about Patrick Roy, and Patrick Roy said, "I cannot hear him. I have 3 Stanley Cup in my ear." Said it in that Quebecois cadence and accent, which was brilliant because you didn't see that trash talking in the day for hockey players. Hockey players are more reserved. They're more
quiet.
They're more about the team, not about themselves. But Patrick Roy wasn't afraid to speak his mind. I appreciate that. Had some success with the junior team that he owned, the Quebec Rempart. Won a couple Memorial Cups with them. Current head coach of the
Islanders,
New York Islanders, although we don't know for long for how long, considering that Lou Lamoriello just retired as the actually didn't retire. He had his contract was not renewed. So the New York Islanders looking for a new general manager. We don't know if he's going to be head coach there when that's concluded, because we all know GMs like to have their own head coaches, or what if we have Patrick Waugh as the GM of the Islanders? So we don't know. But Patrick Waugh, my choice for number 33, was one of the great goaltenders of my generation, of my era, on some fantastic Montreal Canadiens and Colorado Avalanche
teams. Yep.
Sigdigi saying Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is a great choice. It says, in my case, it would be Larry Bird, Scottie Pippen, Alonzo Mourning. I can't say Patrick Ewing, though. Interesting. Yeah, Alonzo Mourning, the number 33 also.
Okay.
Yeah. Alonzo Mourning, another great 33. And the reason why Shaq decided he wanted more money from the Lakers. That big deal with the Heat Alonzo got. That's what triggered it.
That sign and trade. That triggered it, his move to LA. All right, we're going to conclude things, but first we want to give some time to Kevin to promote his stuff. So, Kevin, where can people find you? You
can always find me on X or Twitter, whatever it is.
It's all Twitter, Kevin. Say it right.
Okay, I'm sorry. At Kevin62 WILSEA. And of course, you can, Vince and I do the fantasy, Belly Up Fantasy Live Baseball Show, which comes out on Sunday nights. That's live. And we go out on YouTube a little bit later, same as you guys do. I have always an article on the Belly Up website. There's a baseball article that I did on, I could have mentioned him, Jake Berger, that he's in the minor leagues at present. But so that article's there. And also, we are starting a dynasty football rankings in quarterbacks. It's already out. Running backs drops today. I am doing wide receivers, which will drop on Monday. And so you definitely want to check out those articles before draft day, which is difficult because the dynasty league I'm in, already did our rookie draft. So
wow,
they're coming. They're coming fast, so you definitely want to check out those articles on the Belly Up website over there. They've revamped it. It looks great, so check it out.
All right. One more comment before we get out of here. James says, "Shout out to David Wells." Yes, also number 33 for the New York Yankees.
Shout out David Wells.
Love David Wells. Loved his attitude.
Boomer.
It's too bad he was traded to Toronto. He got a raw deal with that.
Yeah.
But he did come back to the Yankees at one point to end his career. But yeah, this guy took no crap from people and pitched a great. Always pitched when he had to pitch well. That perfect game in '98 was always sticks out in my mind.
Which he says he was hammered for that.
He was. Hey, look, Doc Ellis pitched a game on
LSD. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
What is it with pitchers that can't see straight but go out there and dominate?
Yeah. No, it's something special.
I think I remember Doc Ellis said that the baseball was telling him what to throw when he pitched that no-hitter on LSD.
Wow, that's like something you watch from Bugs Bunny right there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get out of here. Before we do that, just want to remind you to follow us on social media. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Just search for No Credentials Required. Give us a follow. Also, you can find all of our other podcasts and articles on bellyupsports.com. On the podcast side, you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you find podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, and Pandora. And also, don't forget to hit that notification bell on Twitter. We don't call it X. And on YouTube. That way you know when show announcements go up, when live videos go up, and when we have show clips go up, which I'll have to get more. I'll have to get more show clips on the No Credentials Required site, since we moved our show to the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel after our live show. Also, rate, review, comment on the podcast side, 5-star rating. Leave us a review if you can, and also comment in Spotify. Also comment on Belly Up Sports YouTube channel, because that drives engagement. It drives the network to your screen, and which also helps with the algorithm, because we all know we have to live and die by the algorithm now, which is, it's the way it is now. Oh well.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we're going to get out of here. Thank you for tuning in to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are presented by Belly Up Sports. For Kevin, for Dustin, I'm Ryan McCarthy. Thanks for tuning in. We will be back here Tuesday night, 6:30 Eastern, talking. We don't know yet. We haven't figured it out. But one thing's for sure, it'll be a fast and fun show, as always. Analytical, but also lighthearted. So we appreciate you tuning in, whether you tune in live or on the replay or on the podcast side. We will talk to you on Tuesday. We'll see you then. Have a great weekend.
Good morning, everybody.